Alright, now that we've got the timing cover installed, we've got to get these timing cover, well, sorry, now that we have the timing belt installed, we've got to get these timing covers reinstalled. So first thing I'm going to do, as you can see, based on the variation from black to brown, I'm going to get these all cleaned up and shined up, and then once that's complete, we'll get those back on the car. Okay, so this right here goes right here. So what I need you to do is try to get that gently on there and see if you can get it to fit over all of those things. Oh, I should point out, this little cutout right here, there's a little bump right here. It needs to fit onto. Can you get it onto that? See if you can figure out how that goes on there. Yeah, don't push. It should just kind of go on fairly gently.
Yeah.
Is it on everywhere?
Yes.
Good job.
That was kind of easy. A lot easier than I thought it would.
Okay, so. So, you see this piece right here? That's the piece we just put in.
16.
So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't actually have the correct number of bolts. I think there's more bolts in there than it shows. But you see
I
this?
just did like that one.
Yes. You see this number here? T1? So that's our torque, which is 3.6 foot-pounds. I don't have a wrench that measures single foot-pounds. I have an inch that, or do you know what a foot-pound is?
No.
Okay. This is a good example. Right.
These are tight, at the same time they're too big.
Okay. So I'm going to show you an example. So this is a wrench. If I was going to torque, say this thing right here, it's not even on there. So let's say this is 1 foot long. Let's say I push down with 1 pound of force here. The torque here is 1 foot-pound. If this was 6 feet long and I push with 1 foot, what do you think it is?
What? You don't push with one.
Let's say I had a really long wrench. And so this is 1 foot. Let's say it was 6 feet. And I pushed with 1 pound. What do you think that is? A torque. So if 1 foot and 1 pound is 1 foot-pound.
1 6-foot-pound?
It's 6 foot-pounds. You multiply the two together.
Ah.
So now what do you think it would be if I pushed right here with 6 pounds?
It would be 36.
Because it's still 1 foot.
Oh, 6.
6 foot-pounds. So I can push more, or I can push with the same force on a longer bar, or a longer moment arm as they call it. You get the same torque. So in this case, we want 3.6 foot-pounds. Now if I was perfect, and I knew exactly that this was exactly 1 foot. And by the way, the distance is from the center of here to wherever the center of the force is. So let's say so what I could do is if I knew it was perfect, I could have my 1 foot wrench, and I said, okay, I'm going to push here with 3.6 pounds. Well, that's kind of hard, huh? So we have wrenches that take care of that for us, and this measures. And depending on where I set this setting, I twist this thing up and down, and then when I do it, I'll show you how it works in a second. This little thing right here goes click, and that's how you know you've got the right torque. Now the problem is this gives you 3 options. These are all the same thing. They're just measured in different units. So it's like, Celsius, 32 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius. Same thing. Only the 3 options here they give are Newton meters, kilogram force meters, or foot pounds. So foot pounds are the ones that are closest to what we typically use. I don't have a foot pound torque wrench that goes down that low. I do have an inch pound torque wrench.
So how convert inches to feet?
Feet to inches, but yes.
Yes.
So how many inches are in a foot?
12.
So what do you think I do with that number to find inch pounds?
You would multiply 12. Well.
So you multiply it by 12, right?
Yeah.
So it's 3.6 foot pounds times 12, which is 43.2 inch pounds. Now, I'm trying to remember where the bottom of this one goes to. This is my inch pounds. Okay, so we're good. So I gotta get 43. So you see the marking? Okay, so you see the bottom one here? This is actually really hard to read. So you see that one there? What's that one say?
25.
Okay, so 25 is, and you see how it kind of jogs? So that's 25, set at 0 is 25. So if I start, I'm gonna unlock this first. So that's 26, 27, 28, 29, and so on. And so if I go around 1 lap, that's 15. What's 25 plus 15?
35.
No, 25 plus 15.
40.
Right. What's that?
40.
Okay, so now we're at 40, and we want to go to 43. So I got 40, 1, 2, 3. 40 and 3. So now I'll lock this. We're going to need your thing.
Beautiful.
So now one of the things about torquing stuff, I never like to, there's 2 things you need to be worried about. One, I like to, especially on something big like this, I don't torque every one. I try to get them all the same force at the same time. So I'm going to sneak up. I'm going to sneak up on all of them.
You torque one.
I'll go around, and it's something like this where it's not a seal per se. It's just kind of keeps the dust and dirt out, but it doesn't actually have to like hold fluid. It's not as critical. But if you were something like putting on that water pump, there's a very specific place that you have to specific pattern that you have to use to make sure that the seal doesn't leak. In this case, it's not quite as critical. sisters start them, and then so just get them started, Abs, to where you're sure that they're starts cleanly and smoothly. If you have any questions or doubts, ask me. One of the things you can tell if they're started is, first of all, is it moving pretty free and easy? Yep. Okay. And you give it just a teeny tug. You pull hard enough, you can actually break a thread. I'll start them real quick, and then you can finish. Okay, William?
Okay. I got that one. I can do it. I can do all this.
I'm not gonna have you start them, though, William.
Huh?
I'm not gonna have you start them, but you gonna twist them all. You wanna use this?
Yeah.
Makes it a little easier to hold on to. You want to give him some space out so he can stand a little further in front?
Yeah.
Stand more in front, though. There you go. Don't be leaning over so much. And then just take them till they're kind of contacted and snug. Abby, would you like to determine for me what the torque is for those screws?
One of the screws isn't labeled.
When in doubt, it's probably the same as all the other ones.
Okay. Same as those.
Same as the ones we were doing before?
Yes.
Okay.
And those ones are the same torque.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Alrighty. This one doesn't have those squeezy gaskets in it, so.
Squeezy gaskets?
Not quite.
Is this the Outback? No, it's the STi.
Yeah.
You can actually look to see if it's the STi, because the STi is like that thing that says STI.
Yep, they're pretty proud of that, huh?
Proud of it?
Well, they're pretty proud of it. They put it all over the car. Alright.
Because it says STI.
Everywhere.
Like everywhere.
Alrighty.
I think, what's this?
What's what? That red stuff?
Yeah.
That's the intake manifold. Okay, so now we got all those torqued. Abby, what do we do after we torque them?
After we torque them, I get to mark them with my paint marker. Paint marker?
Yep, this is an Abby.
So did you do those? And
all 7 are done.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
So I didn't mark 4. No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why are you marking them?
Because that way I don't have the question of, did I torque those? I meant to torque them. Did I do it?
Did I?
I can look at it and go, that's pink. It's torqued.
But what if it accidentally rubbed away?
That would be unfortunate. Oh, yeah, trying to do that. Put a paint mark on my thing.
Yeah, hold it.
Okay, be more careful.
I'll be trying to do it.
Okay, kiddo. There we go. We now have the timing cover on. That's a pretty good project. Think we accomplished enough for today?
No, one more thing. One little.
Alright, so the next project we've got going here is doing the spark plugs, replacing them. So right now I took out the washer tank, so the windshield washer fluid tank, and so now I've already removed the connector from this little plug pack down here. Can you see that okay? Where I'm at?
Let me see if I'm going to zoom.
Okay. Anyway, if you can see down in there. So I'm going to remove it from the second one here. I'm kind of using the broad end. It's not the easiest thing to see down inside.
So far, these are the easiest to remove electrical connectors. I've dealt with them this time. No hesitation. Problems are problems. It's more like... Of course, I can't see. Yeah, it's okay. I can live. No, okay. You're the main part. Oh, I see down there. You see down there? Yeah.
Yeah, so push it quick, hard enough. Okay, so now we got the connectors off that drive the coil packs. So now you got to take out the coil packs themselves. Okay. So this is the first plug. This is the forward left plug, and it actually turned out it's in very good condition. I'm not saying there's no weird buildup. There's no big carbon deposits. There's no oil in there. So this looks about as good as it could possibly look. One could argue you could probably just stick this thing back in there and keep going, but roughly 80,000 miles in 16 years. I'm gonna go ahead and give it some new plugs. So not terribly difficult to get out, but definitely a tight space in there. I think this is possibly the easiest of them all, so it might get a little bit more challenging as we go. But we'll keep on moving. But that's the first one, and so we're gonna go ahead. We'll do these in order. We'll do them as we go, meaning that I'm gonna replace the one that goes back in before I move on to the next, so that way there's no confusion about what goes where. Better to have little hands sometimes, because then you can find a little helper to help you wrench out at their spark plug, which is deep down in there. You just keep going. And there she is. And these spark plugs have a lot of threads, so they just keep going and going and going and going. But she'll get it out of there eventually. We got the first one back in and torqued down and got the spark plug pack back on, the ignition pack back on there, coil pack, whatever they want to call that thing. So that one's in, and she's removing the second one. So we got the second plug pack off, coil pack, that's what I keep looking for. And so now we're just getting the spark plug itself out, which is no small feat. Alright, let's look behind all of this stuff. Back in there. Can't even see it. Put the light in the right place, it'll help. So, back in there. Jeez. There we go. You can see on the other side of the cable there that the secondary coil pack went in. Everything went great. No real major issues. Definitely a tight spot, but not difficult. The problem, however, is oops. My friendly neighborhood connector here. I don't know if you can tell. That shouldn't look like that. There's actually at the tip of my thumb there is something that should be there that isn't, and it's the locking part of this connector. So the connector basically, this one came off really easy, and then the one in the back came off a little bit more difficult. That was because this one was almost done, and when I basically pushed this little release mechanism, it just disintegrated. So I have to remove and replace this connector, which is going to be a new experience for me. I haven't done that. I don't think I've ever done it, actually. I've definitely never done it on a car. I don't think I've even done it at work. So the other one, which is down inside of there, is fine. It went on. The locking element stayed complete. So I got online, was able to find somebody who sells these little gems, and unfortunately it's not it's not the real OEM piece. It's some company. Golly, never can quite get the light where you want it. And let's see here. Let's see if we can get a good look at this thing. So, as I understand it, there is that little yellow piece. I've got to remove that yellow piece, and then once that yellow piece is out, basically I lift individually each one of the pins, and it's locked into this piece of plastic here, and they all come out. And then I will replace them likewise into the new one. As you can see here, we have a blue, a black, and a brown, I think is what that is. And we just got to put them back in, blue, black, and brown, in the same orientation. So that'll be a new little experience for me. But, you know, we live, we learn, and we carry on. Keep going.
It's actually a pretty clean one.
You think it looks about what you think it should look like?
Yeah.
I think you're right. Kind of a brownish, tannish color.
Almost like a brassy kind of look.
Yeah, not quite that bright, but yeah, right there. Did you get a good picture?
Thanks.
If you stare into the light, it's kind of hard, but I don't know if it's working for you or not.
One sec.
Remember, the farther you zoom in, the shakier it's going to be. Can't do this for too much longer.
Oh yeah, we're good. I got some.
Video on?
Yes.
So, I'm kind of curious. If you were going to go tell your friends on your basketball team or in school, if you were going to tell them what you did, what would you tell them?
That I worked on an STI and replaced a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you think? Would you tell them it's something that they, if they get the chance, should try?
Yes.
Think so? Why so? What do you think the advantage of knowing how to do this is?
Because if you have problems with your car and you don't know how to deal with it, you can just buy the parts, and if you know how to do it, then you can put the parts in. But if you don't know how to do it, you have to pay like a lot of money to get it replaced.
Yeah.
Because they usually make you pay for the parts and then for them doing it.
The labor to do it?
Yeah.
And do you know how much labor is typically per hour for somebody working on a car? What it costs the person paying it.
What is it?
What would you guess? So for every hour the person's out working on a car, what do you think it costs the person paying for it? Not in the parts, on top of parts.
Like $20?
More.
100?
Yep. Now, I'll point some stuff out. Those folks, they know what they're doing a little bit better than I do, because they've done it before. Whereas I'm kind of having to figure some of this out. Now, I've done other repairs. I haven't done these repairs on this car. Whereas those folks generally tend to specialize in a specific brand or model of car. And so, and they've got, special tools and all kinds of things. And I have some of those tools, but not all of those tools. So, there's an advantage sometimes, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And one of the things about this car is, this has taken me months to fix. I don't care. That's okay for me.
Yeah.
If I had to get to work on Monday in this car, that's when it gets really unpleasant. And I've been in that situation before. And your grandpa talked about that before, where, you're in a situation where it's like, Monday morning's coming, and I gotta go work, so this has got to get done. So that means I gotta stay up way until the dark hours getting it done, and then that's what I gotta do. And that's not fun. So sometimes you're just like, you know what, Uncle, I gotta get somebody who can do this, even if it costs me $100 an hour. Well, we've made some progress. So, down in here we have now all 4 of the spark plugs replaced. So that's good news, and hopefully everything goes all right there. We don't have any issues. I did have the same problem I did on the other side, where the locking element here snapped off. Good news is I've already ordered I ordered a full replacement set of those connectors, so I got 4 new connector housings coming. So I may, depending on how it goes, I might replace all 4. We'll see. So yeah, likewise, got spark plugs replaced on here. A little dark down in there, but there's one right there. That one's all replaced. And likewise, that one there. So the next major step is actually going to be putting the pulley harmonic balancer back on there on the crank. And that's a little bit tricky. It's 133-ish foot-pound torque. But what we have to do is, so this is the fastener that goes on there, and the way you're supposed to do this is to actually you apply engine oil to the seat and the thread, so you actually lubricate this. Let's see if we can get that to focus a little bit better. So we got to torque this, but there's 2 parts to that. You got to torque it, and you have to ensure that the torque results in at least 1 or 66 degrees of turn, which is about 1 facet here. So we'll we'll check and make sure that that works. If it doesn't, they actually tell you to replace the bolt, which is kind of interesting. So that's the next major step on our thing here, is to lubricate, clean, and torque this crank pulley bolt. Alright, so doesn't really look any different, but it's on there now. I had to play with it a little bit, so the 133 foot-pounds didn't quite get me there. I was maybe 5 degrees short of the 65 degrees they asked for, so I gave it just a little bit more oomph with a breaker bar until I reached what was approximately 65 degrees, and got there. So per the manual, I'll point this out. Let's see if that kind of comes into focus. Per the manual, if you come up short of 65 degrees, then you are supposed to replace the bolt, but you're only supposed to torque it if you use a brand new bolt to 65 to 75 degrees. So I don't, I'm not really sure what you would do about that per se, but it seemed like 5 degrees was not a broken bolt or a bad bolt. What it looks like they're trying to accomplish here is trying to ensure a certain amount of bolt turn, which is a very reliable way of determining how much preload you actually achieve. So it looks like they're assuming you're having an issue with too much running torque and therefore not getting sufficient preload. So I don't really think that was an issue here. That's all subjective, I suppose, but in any event, I was able to get that sorted out, and hopefully I don't come to regret it someday, but that's the story.
We did it. We did it.